George Burr was born in 1896 in New York. His mother passed away shortly after his birth. Taking care of children was too much for George's father, so his sisters cared for him until he was adopted in 1897 by family members E.J. and Anna Burr. Anna could never have children of her own, so for her to finally have a baby was a dream come true. They moved to Ypsilanti, Michigan, where they had other family members living. The Burrs then moved to Plymouth and lived on a farm at Ann Arbor Road in Haggerty, across from what is now the Don Massey Cadillac. George lived there for most of his life from ages 6 to 18. George attended Plymouth High School and graduated in 1915. He used to ride his horse to school whenever he couldn't ride his bike or walk. He would park his horse behind the Old Methodist Church in Plymouth during school. George was also a member of the track team for Plymouth High School and was in the pole vaulting event, and also a member of the yearbook staff during his time in high school. After high school, George worked at the Daisy Air Rifle Factory. Later working on the Bennett farm, he would meet Mildred Bennett, whom he started a relationship with. He would then attend the University of Michigan to become an engineer. After 6 months of being a student at U of M, he joined the military during World War I. George made it to the rank of second lieutenant just as the war was coming to a close. After the war, he went back to the University of Michigan and graduated in 1921. After college, George Burr worked for the Wayne County Road Commission. In order to serve his community, he became the bond treasurer for the local school board. George was severely burned in an explosion in 1938 while inspecting a new sewer line with another official when both men were trapped by the sewer gas explosion. Burr was badly burned on his hands and face but went back to rescue the other man, an act of heroism for which he received the Kiwanis Honors Award for bravery. He had to resign as the school board treasurer due to his inability to sign checks, but he kept his seat on the board. Burr and his wife became active in founding the Plymouth Historical Society. He was their president during the 1970s. Along with Margaret Dunning and Clarence Moore, the Burr family had a huge role in creating and building the Plymouth Historical Museum. George Burr passed away in 1977, the same year the newly open and permanent Historical Museum opened its doors. Mildred Bennett Burr was born in 1901 in Plymouth, Michigan. Mildred's family had a farm located off of Sheldon and Ann Arbor Road, where CVS is now located. In 1919, Mildred's father, Paul Bennett, passed away while setting the Christmas pig. He fell through the floor of their barn and was punctured later, resulting in a ruptured appendix. Mildred was a 1919 graduate of Plymouth High School. She later attended Ypsilanti Normal College, now known as Eastern Michigan University. There she received a teaching degree and later taught in the Detroit Public School District for about 4 years before and during her marriage. Mildred married George Burr in 1922 in Detroit, Michigan. They lived in Detroit until 1924 when they moved back to Plymouth to raise their 3 children, Sanford, Jane, and Margaret. Mildred and George moved to their new home on Sheridan Drive to raise their 3 children. In 1964, Mildred and George moved into E.J. and Anna Burr's farmhouse on Ann Arbor Road. Throughout her life, Mildred was highly involved in the Plymouth Historical Museum, the Women's Club for Plymouth, for which she was the president for several years, and also involved with the Women's Club for her church. Mildred Burr passed away in 1974. Sanford Burr, the oldest of the Burr children, was born in 1926 in Plymouth, Michigan. During high school, Sanford, Sandy as he was known to his friends, was a part of the golf team and participated in band and theater. He graduated in 1944 from Plymouth High School. Sanford served in World War II and then went to school at Albion for 4 years. He then attended Garrett College and obtained a degree in theology, and then went back to Albion to earn a degree in teaching and counseling. He taught in Southfield Public Schools until 1978 when he retired as assistant principal. Sandy married Ruth Hallowell, who attended Roosevelt High School and graduated in 1947. He met her at Albion College in 1951 and had 2 sons, Robert and Charles, who were both Plymouth-Salem High School graduates, Robert in 1970 and Charles in 1974. Neither were married. Charles runs the Tibbetts Opera House in Coldwater, Michigan, and Robert lives in New York. After Sanford retired, he was, like his parents, active in the Plymouth Historical Museum and later acted as the president of the Historical Museum. Sandy was also a counselor at Schrader Funeral Home and delivered many of our citizens' final eulogies. Jane Burr was the middle child of the Burr children. Born in 1926, she unfortunately died at the age of 16 due to rheumatic fever in 1944. Jane passed away the same year Sandy went to war. Margaret Burr Kidston, the youngest of the Burr children, was born in 1936. During her time in high school, she was a part of the Youth Teen Club, theater, student council, and for 2 years she was involved in the Girls Athletic Association. She worked at the Penn Theater in downtown Plymouth throughout high school. Margaret was also involved with the youth group of the Methodist Church in Plymouth. Margaret graduated from Plymouth High School in 1954. As an adult, she worked as part of the Women's Club of Plymouth to follow in the footsteps of both her mother Mildred and grandmother Maud. Margaret then went on to Albion College to obtain a degree in elementary education and graduated from Albion in 1958. She would teach in the Plymouth-Canton School District for 30 years and teach at several schools, such as Smith and Allen Elementary. She married Brian Kidston, who is also a 1954 Plymouth High School graduate, in 1960. Brian and Margaret worked with the Plymouth Historical Museum. They had 2 daughters, Suzanne and Catherine, who are Canton High School graduates, Suzanne in 1979 and Catherine in 1980.